Hi, it's PegandDes on
Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Okay, last night was amazing because we finally saw the denouement of Kirk up at the lodge, and I mean, Kirk is just so Weasley to me. He's such a weasel.
I was surprised that, okay, I wasn't surprised, but it still kind of hit me when I saw them all tussling in the bed. I mean, last week that we saw them walk into the room, we knew what was going to happen.
Yes.
But the fact that the tussling was on television was just so extra.
Now, did
VH1,
did one of those girls have a nose tattoo?
A nose tattoo?
I could have sworn one of those girls.
What's a nose tat?
I literally thought she had a tattoo running down the side of her nose. Maybe it's her hand.
I don't know. I don't know. There were so many bodies and so much going on. I didn't even peep a nose tattoo.
I really thought it was hilarious that they didn't just imply. They wanted to make sure you knew.
Yes.
That Kirk had fooled around. There was gonna be no opportunity for him to be like, no, we went in there, but we had a
all
chat.
Talked.
And then I was like, oh no, it's on. It's like everybody's all over each other. It's like a dog pile of puppies.
But Kirk continues to layer, right? Kirk is a layerer because after the infidelity, then Kirk goes to a club where Tracy's going to be, brings said birds with him. Birds, well, according to Benzino, birds were already there.
Right.
However, birds attached to Kirk and are just squawking at his side, hands all over shoulders. It looks very much like they're there together. It's a lot of flirtation, and he's not even trying to thwart that at all. I mean, so not only am I cheating at the lake, I'm also in public spaces in our local town, still doing too much.
Kirk's position is, I had a free pass. Kirk reminds me of, remember Ross and Rachel from Friends?
Yes.
When he hooked up with someone and then his headline was, we were on a break. Kirk is like, we were on a break. He thinks he has a free pass.
But where did the word pass come from? Because Rashida said, go do you. But she didn't say, you go get a pass. I don't ever remember her saying that. How did do you translate into a pass?
He just converted into the pass.
He heard what he wanted to hear.
Why I loved Rashida's smackdown of him, because she hit on everything I wanted to say to that fool.
Well, okay, hold on. Before we get into what Rashida had to say, as I was looking at her outside of her yard, I was thinking about what Mama Deb I was thinking about what Mama Deb said about her hairline and her skincare line. Rashida is glowing.
She's beautiful.
Her face was stunning. Her hair was popping. She was giving us gorgeous pregnancy. The dress she was wearing was amazing. I'm like, Rashida, where's the enterprising? When are we going to make that happen?
She's working on things, but the woman is pregnant. She has a trifling husband who's like, he's so, ridiculous.
Hella indignant, though. Hella indignant. He looked at her and said, so?
He was just making me disgusted, to be honest. I was just like, Rashida, you really need to kick his ass to the curb. I'm glad she went full waiting to exhale on him. She was like, I'm gonna burn these clothes in this yard.
I loved it.
And he ran out of the house like a bat out of hell. He looked like a little chicken.
I loved it. She was giving us Angela Bassett front porch realness all day. I said, yes.
Burn them clothes. Burn them. I wanted to see the flames in the yard.
So did I. But the other thing I also loved is that her messaging was very consistent between her times in the confessional and her smackdown in the actual scene. I mean, it was all just so much fire.
She doesn't do that Mimi thing where Mimi acts all bad in the confessional.
Oh yes, where Mimi does this and she gets right there in your face, but then in the confessional she's giving you a whole lot of raspy realness.
Yes. Yeah, and she always acts like she was just very hard in the confessional, and then you actually see the scene and you're like, whatever. Oh, first of all, can we very, very quickly say, Stevie J is ridiculous. Can I have some lettuce, please? Whatever, dude. She said, and I was so happy when she...
I had no idea what that meant.
Handed back those keys. I was like, good for you, girl. Good for you. Take your keys.
But why hand back the keys to the lease? You outside now talking about...
Can I get that? That's what I would have done. That is what I would have done. Here, take your keys. Out.
I mean, she knew that was coming though, and she even said it because she knew that it was coming. But Anyways, I need to talk to you about Erica and Mama D and the setup of the century.
Okay, here's what I didn't understand. She wanted dough from Scrappy, right? Mama D calls her and he's like, look, she's like, Scrappy's in jail. I'm willing to take up the responsibilities. Why was Erica so indignant about taking that money?
I couldn't understand that either. I mean, that only made sense to me. Frankly, it's interesting that Mama D was making a lot of sense. But in that moment, she was saying, my son is in prison. I should take on the responsibility of caring for my grandchild in his absence. And Erica was just attitude central, but I couldn't understand why. It didn't make any sense. So they proceed to the ring shop. Mama D is encouraging her to pawn this ring, but pushing her, pawn it, don't consign it, pawn it. And then we proceed to the party. Scrappy learns that the ring has been pawned. He, in that tight leather jersey he was wearing, get very sweaty and angry, and then Mama D out of nowhere just starts popping off as if she didn't know that the girl was pawning the ring.
Well, I think she saw that Scrappy was upset, the prince was upset, all that royal stuff.
Okay, let me tell you something. Those metaphors are so tired and old. They are worse than that wig she wears.
Horrible. So the prince is upset. She starts like tripping out, and all of a sudden, is
Erica's mom
named Mignon? Is that her name? I was like, really? So Mignon comes down the stairs
in a belly top. Don't forget that belly top.
And she was just...
There was so much light-skinned tiredness around her. I said, what is going on? Why are you wearing that belly top? Why are you coming down the stairs so brolic? And then she and Mama D start fighting.
And I have to say that, I mean, I can't stand Scrappy, but he had a point. Erica went flying on her own accord. She fell on those big old high heels of hers, and she was like, yo, you finna go to jail. I was like, for what? For you falling?
You just got him out of there, but you just got him out of there. First you escorted him there the first time. You just got him out of there, celebrating his arrival, and now it's time to send him back. What you gonna pawn next, girl?
I know. I thought Erica worked. Why is she pawning rings anyway to live? I thought she had a nurse job.
Where's the Love and Hip Hop Skrilla? Where's the Love and Hip Hop Skrilla? Are y'all getting paid?
I'm saying, like,
please don't tell me this is volunteerism.
Pawning, consigning, I don't even...
So that situation, messy boots. Next is
Tracy and Drew. Now,
yes,
Drew last week tried to, mac on Tracy, and to her credit, even though she was acting very foolish in the beginning of the season, like screaming about chicks in his apartment,
I'm popcorn chicks. The popcorn chicks.
Back up, dude. I don't know what you're doing. And I love he comes over to her house. He's like, well, I always thought I was that dude. Like, I always thought I was that dude. Like, anytime I wanted,
what
that
was with that
happened.
Jamaican interlude that he hit us with?
Yeah. And so I was like, you're a really cocky fool. You really are. You could roll up, talk about you thought you were that dude. Like, whatever.
Well, the thing is based on his behavior, it did not seem like she's done any real dating since they've broken up. Because otherwise, why would he be acting so crazy now? The child is like 7 years old.
Yes.
The child is walking around getting food out the refrigerator. He's writing, reading. He can send mail. I just couldn't understand why was this all of a sudden a big deal. But it just demonstrates that this girl is just now getting back out there.
That's not so odd. Like, a lot of single mothers actually don't date. Seriously, a lot of single mothers that I know don't really date that much.
On the strength of pregnant and dating, I will be dating well into my pregnancy if my baby daddy ain't with me.
Well, that's you. Some women don't want to bring a lot of men around their son or their child. They just are like, they don't have time. You're busy raising a child on your own. Kids are a lot of pain in the ass. Like, they're a lot of work, and you don't have time.
7 years? Either way. So I was glad, though, that she didn't fall into the foolishness, but I'd love to know what happened off camera. Because you know how that goes, right? You got a whole lot of face for the camera. You can't look like you got played out. I would love to know what they're doing now.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because it looks like Drew takes them to the Red Lobster next week and reveals the fact that the bald-headed dude has been in prison, and Tracy's looking like she didn't know that, as if the man with all the neck tattoos and all the body armor doesn't look like he's been in prison. I mean, he's got prison muscles for days.
His law career was maybe what she thought he was up to. I didn't realize, I haven't seen the previews, but
Yes.
I hope she doesn't fall back in with Drew. He's an idiot. He's trifling, really, honestly. I will say this about Tracy. I really have paid her no mind, but I loved her behavior at the party when she saw Kirk with those women.
Yes.
She was like, what? Excuse me? Like, what is your married ass doing right now?
Right.
And then she went straight over to tell Rashida what was going on.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
She didn't have another scene where she sat with somebody who was like, what should I tell her? Should I not tell her? What should I do? No. She was like, somebody needs to know this.
Yes.
And went straight over. So good on you, Tracy. You've raised in my estimation in the last couple of weeks.
Tracy was looking out. So that was pretty much all of this episode. The one thing that I can't wait for us to discuss next week is Jocelyn and Stevie and this new love nest that they've built for each other. I'm very excited to see how this is going to work out between the two of them.
All right. Well, subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter at PegandDes.
Yes. And we'll be back for some Princesses Long Island as well as some more Love and Hip Hop next week.
Bye.